Welcome back. So in our Selenium with Java series, we are looking into the TestNG features, right? So we have seen the TestNG assertions and a couple of attributes as well, like set the priority, setting the description, and now we are going ahead to learn about some more TestNG attributes, that is invocation count and then thread pool size and then the timeout. Now these three are kind of interrelated to each other, so I have just clubbed all these three, and then we will quickly see what is the usage and how it is helping in our Selenium automation. Okay, so let's talk about first invocation count. So it says that the number of times a test method should be invoked. It means that now so far whatever the test-ng test methods we have created, if you are running it, it runs only once, right? But you can set the invocation count and you can increase the number of, or you can repeat the number of executions. It means that let's say that you want to run three times the same test case, so you can just keep the invocation count as 3, and then you can deal with that. So the main use case I could think of is like whenever you want to, let's say that execute your the login scenario. Let's say that you want to do that login scenario for multiple times, so you can utilize this one. And now I will talk about the thread pool size and timeout in a minute, but yeah, let's first look into the invocation count. Okay, so let me open the IntelliJ, and here what I'm going to do, I have this testng, right? So I'll just create a new package. Let me create that, and in this I will just say invoke count. Okay, and then under this package I will be creating a test case, so I can just copy paste this one and then just say invoke test. Okay, some name I'm giving now. Okay, now you can see if I run this one, let's quickly run this and see what happens. And you can see, as expected, there are one test cases ran and then it become pass. It's very simple, right? Now let me do one thing. I'll put the invocation count here and default to 1, right? That's why every time it is running only one time. Let's say that I'm giving as 3. Now let's see what happens to this test case. So I can right click and run, and as you can see there are three times the same test case run, and as you can see here it even gives you the total count as 3, but I have the test method only one, right? So that is what your invocation count is dealing with. I'll show you another scenario as well here. So let me just do one small thing here. So I will try to print the thread actually. So see, every execution, I mean whatever the test case or any task that we run actually in our machine, there will be one process or a handle. We call it as a handle or process, or we can even call it as a thread, right? It is the architecture concept. Now the thread will be created by the system, which will take over this task and will take to your what you call the backend into your machine, or and then it will execute that particular what do you call task, right? Now let me try to print that actually. So here what I'm going to do, I'll say thread, and then what is that thread? I don't know, right? So how do I get that current thread which it is running currently? So there is a thread class, right? And then here if you see current thread, there is a current thread method and it is coming purely from your Java only. Okay, and then I want to get the idea of that. Now let's try to print this one. Now you will see there is only one thread that is taking over that. It means that it's sequentially it is running. Okay, because the same thread only, right? First task it ran. Once it is completed, it is going over to this one. Now another time it is going over to this one. Fine. So this is pretty simple because we have executed this one in sequence order, right? We just want to repeat this one. But what happens if I will say this one? Let's say let's use this thread pool size. Okay, there is one, and because the thread pool size is 0, that's why only one thread is assigned to this one, and that's how it is running in sequence actually. But let's say that if I want to mention this one too actually. Now let's see what happens to this one. Now keep this output as a reference. So let me just copy this one, this much, and let me keep it inside a Sublime Text, just for the reference. Now, after the execution, I will show you what exactly happens. Now, this happened when I was not writing the thread pool size, right? But at this moment, I am saying the thread pool size to 2. Now, let's see what happens. And you can see now there are only two threads this particular test case is running. It means that you can see this particular test case first it ran into 13, okay, then after this, so 13 and 14, these two take in a parallel actually. That is why you can see the output here. So my first test engine test, it executed. Now it didn't run this particular line of code. You can see the next output you got again this one, because there were two threads that were executing this particular test case. That's why by the time it was exit the first thread, it was going to the next line of code, the second thread started executing the same method. That is why you are seeing these things in parallel. Because this test case ran in parallel, you are seeing a different output, not like before, like in a sequence. First it will run the first line of code, then it printed the thread, then it started. But here it was different, right? Let me just copy paste this one, and here let's try to compare these two. Now these two test cases were ran parallel, but why it is run parallel? Because I have given thread count as 2. So it means that two threads at the same time I have what do you call made them to work actually, so that they both came together and they're running that parallel. But what about this third one? Now whichever of this particular thread finished, see, parallel means it is not exactly parallel it is happening. I mean, always what it does, I mean, if you see like in real time, it first go and take some part of your first task actually. So what it does, so it will take task once, some part it will execute. Let's say the first thread actually it is executing, then what happens at the same time second thread started working. Now what it does, it takes task 2, okay, some part it is taking. Now by the time the second is doing, now task once the rest of the part it might be taking, I can say the rest part. Okay. Now here this is basically the first thread is executing. Now again the task one. Now the rest of the part it will finish. So like that, it is like not exactly in a parallel that all of these threads will be taking over. Just some fraction of second here and there difference, which is very minimal, and you cannot really capture those what you call differences. But this is how it is running. How do you know this one? By looking into this one, right? Because see, this is my part of the first test case, right? By the time it was running, the second thread started actually. What is the second thread? That is the thread 14. Now after these two test cases executed, right, I mean two times it executed, whichever thread become free or available, that took the third test case. It means that your 14 id 14 number thread basically finished the test case faster than the 13, and that's how it picked up the third test case. It's like in the queue, right? In the buffer it is there, whichever thread is available it will just pick up that. So that is kind of an internal concept which might make you interest to learn. So that's why I have explained this one. Okay, so that is how it went. Now let's say that if I want to make it as 3, now let's see what happens. So let me just run it, and you can see there are three test cases ran parallel, but it become parallel actually, I can say, because there are three different threads now allocated to execute this particular test case, right? That's why we are getting three threads. It means that three different processes started at the same time to take three different test methods, because the invocation count is 3, right? So that's how. Now your thread pool size decides how many threads will be allocated to this repetitive number of test cases. Okay, so if you're making one, it will run in sequence. If you make it two, first two test cases will run in parallel, then the rest of the test cases will taking care of that. So you can just play with this. You can take any test method, you can just make it as 5, this one as 2. The reason I'm doing that, you can actually get to know that what is, how many threads are basically coming into the picture. And even I would say that you can even do this way also. You can start a timing here like the start time, and you can put a end time. You can even capture each test case how much time it is taking also. So in that way you can even capture these things. Fine. Now let's talk about the third one, right? The third attribute. Now here we understood this one, right? The second one. It says that the size of thread pool for a method. So how many times you are executing, that doesn't matter, but it matters how many threads you are allocating to this one. Okay, and this is the same concept, right? When we learn about the TestNG parallelization, let's say that if you have 200 different test cases are there in your TestNG shoot. Now you may not want to execute them in sequence, it might take a lot of time. So what you can do, there is a concept of a thread size actually in your TestNG XML. We will see that in future, but that decides how many different test cases you want to make it in parallel. You want to make it as 3, 4 or 5, so that it is time all those number of test cases will run parallel, and it will reduce the time of execution. But in that you need to make sure that one thing, if you're making the thread size more, it means that it is utilizing your CPU a lot actually. It is utilizing your RAM. So your resources utilization is increasing. So you have to take care of that. See, this is just a small test case which is not even taking fraction of second. So that's why we are seeing, you can see now the 12 milliseconds it took actually here. So I mean within 38 seconds you have finished this one. Now, the same thing, but when you are executing test cases talking about Selenium, which might even take like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, right? And it is even launching your browser, talking to your database, talking to your some Excel sheets, now which is like lot of resources there it is utilizing. So you need to come to a conclusion that you need to have very logical, what you call thread pool size. Normally we give 3 or 4 so that it will not utilize a lot of my what you call system resources. Fine, so that's about another interesting thing that you need to take care of that. Now let's talk about the third one. Let me open this note, and this is about the timeout. Now what is this actually, this timeout? This works with the thread pool size. Now again, it is depending, the third one, which is the timeout, it is depending on your thread pool size. Now let's keep this timeout in milliseconds, which says that to 2 seconds. I'm just keeping here. Now you can see each of these test cases took 12 millisecond, 13 millisecond, and then 13 millisecond, right? Which is like basically in 12 milliseconds it is finishing. Now let me run this one by adding the timeout, and you can see there is no difference. Now what is exactly this timeout is making sense here, I'll let you know that. So think about this way. Now here what I'm going to do, I'll wait something. Okay, I'm kind of mocking it up. Let's say that this particular test case takes 1.5 second. Okay, 1.5 second it is taking. It is doing some task which is taking 1.5 millisecond, 1.5 seconds, sorry. Now let's execute this one. Because it waited, so that's why 1.5 seconds it should wait, and you can see 1.5 second, 1.5 second, and everything is happening, and your thread pool size is also working. Because you are seeing three different threads are allocated. Now what this makes a difference actually, let me show you that. Now what will happen if you make it as 2.2 seconds? Okay, because let's think about the test case is taking a bit more time. Now let me execute this one. And you can see none of the test cases are working. I am not making this test case fail or anything, but still it failed. Now the thing is that it is telling that the sleep interrupted because I this particular task is taking 2.2 seconds, but I said timeout is 2 seconds. Means for each thread I'm only allocating 2 seconds. That is the logic here. So this particular test case should be finished within 2 seconds. If it is taking more than 2 seconds, the thread will be released. So the thread will no longer will be holding this task. Okay, so this is basically happening. Let's say that if you have a time bound, so think about this. Let's say that you are executing some alarm specific test cases where that particular task should finish within 5 seconds. Now in that case, what you can do, you can give the timeout as 5 seconds. So in that case, what will happen? If it is executing within 5 seconds, it will pass, else it will fail your test case. So that is about this actually. So this timeout is basically depending on each thread actually that you are executing. I'll give you one more example actually here. Let's do actually this one as 1.2 seconds, and here I'm making it as 2. Okay, now let's run this one. Okay, now this is bit interesting, right? You can see the 13 and 14 are successful. It means that the first two repetition executed properly. Why? Because each test case is taking 1.2 seconds, right? So now this one took 1.2 second. Let me show you that in this notepad. So let me just minimize this one, and so this is my output, right? Why? Because this particular test case took like let's say that 1.21 seconds. Okay, now the same thing, this one also took 1.21 seconds. Okay, 1.21 seconds. Now, what happened? Let's think about the thread 13 got released because it executed the first loop. Now it is going to pick up the third, what you call third invocation, right? In that case, now let's say that the thread started 13. Now what it will again take 1.21 seconds, right? But the problem is that this particular thread cannot be hold with more than 2 seconds because I am giving the timeout as 2. Doesn't matter how many test cases this particular thread is taking, this sum means a total this thread will be allocated only for 2 seconds. Now this thread 13 now is taking how much time? It is nearly taking 2.42 second, which is not in our limit, right? Because in 2 seconds, that's why the third test case did not run. Now whichever thread it is taking, it doesn't matter, it just what do you call interrupted. It means that you are not getting the proper result. One of that test case become failed because of it exceeded the timeout. Okay, now probably you might understand actually the difference between invocation count is very simple. It just executes number of times, but thread pool size decides whether to execute them in parallel or in sequence, how much resource you want to utilize. Timeout is basically you are making a bound, actually time bound to each thread. Now you can just play with this thread id and then thread dot sleep, and then you can understand these three different what do you call this invocation count, thread pool, and then timeout. Normally I've seen the thread pool is something we use a lot actually when you execute in anything like in test cases. Also if you're running parallel, then you will have to make sure that the thread should be proper because that decides how many test cases you want to run in parallel. Okay, you are just limiting that so that it won't utilize your system resources at the same time. Okay, so that's pretty much it about the TestNG attributes. Stay tuned to this YouTube channel. We will be seeing some more TestNG interesting topics in our upcoming session, and you will understand what is the real-time use case with respect to Selenium. Thank you guys for watching.